The night shift always felt wrong to Emily. During the day, St. Vincent Medical Center buzzed with voices, overhead pages, rolling carts, and the constant reassurance that help was always nearby. But after midnight, the hospital changed. The bright white halls took on a yellowish tint. The shadows seemed deeper. The silence between monitor beeps became unnerving. Emily had been a registered nurse for 3 years, all of them on the medical surgical floor. She told everyone she preferred nights. No administrators breathing down her neck. No families crowding the nurses' station. No endless discharges and admissions. That was true, mostly. But there was another reason. Night shift felt honest. People were more vulnerable in the dark. Patients became restless, confused, frightened. The hospital stopped pretending to be a place of healing and revealed what it truly was. A building filled with pain, fear, and people desperately trying to keep death from slipping through the doors. At 11 p.m., Emily clocked in, tied her dark hair into a bun, and accepted report. Her assignment was typical. 6 patients. Room 401, pneumonia on antibiotics. Room 402, elderly woman with a fractured hip. Room 403, diabetic ketoacidosis. Room 404, empty. Room 405, terminal cancer patient on comfort care. Room 406, Mr. Howard, admitted for altered mental status. Watch 406, the day nurse said quietly. Emily glanced up. Confused? The nurse hesitated. Sort of. He doesn't talk much. Just stares. Emily gave a tired smile. That's not unusual. The nurse leaned closer. He asked me what time you come in. Emily laughed nervously. Did he? The nurse didn't smile. Just, don't let him get in your head. The first few hours passed uneventfully. Emily hung antibiotics, checked blood sugars, repositioned her comfort care patient, and answered call bells. By 1:30 a.m., the floor was quiet. The overhead lights had been dimmed. Most patients slept. As Emily walked down the hallway to restock supplies, she passed room 406. The door was partially open. The room beyond was nearly pitch black, except for the faint blue glow of the cardiac monitor. Mr. Howard appeared to be lying in bed. Nothing unusual. Emily kept walking. At 2:10 a.m., she passed room 406 again, on her way to room 401. The room remained dark. Mr. Howard seemed to be asleep. The monitor traced a slow, steady rhythm. Nothing unusual. At 2:47 a.m., she passed the room for a third time. She barely glanced inside. Again, nothing seemed out of place. Just the dim outline of a patient in bed. At 3:12 a.m., Emily was returning from the medication room with a cup of water and a packet of crushed pills for the confused patient in room 403. She passed room 406 for the 4th time. At first, she continued walking. Then something in her peripheral vision made her stop. Her body froze before her mind understood what she had seen. Slowly, she turned her head. In the darkness of the room, the silhouette of Mr. Howard was no longer lying down. He was sitting upright at the edge of the bed, perfectly still. His posture was unnaturally straight. The blue monitor light illuminated just enough of his face for Emily to see his eyes. They were wide open, bulging, reflecting the monitor light like glass marbles, and stretched across his face was a horrific grin. Too wide, too deliberate. He was staring directly at her. Emily's breath caught in her throat. The cup in her hand trembled, water sloshing over the rim. Mr. Howard did not blink, did not move, did not speak. He only sat there in the dark, smiling, watching. After what felt like an eternity, Emily forced herself to step into the room and flick on the light. The room flooded with brightness. Mr. Howard was lying flat in bed, asleep, his mouth slightly open. The cardiac monitor beeped calmly. Emily's heart hammered against her ribs. She stood there staring. There was no way. She had seen him, sitting up, watching her, smiling. Her hands shook as she checked his wristband and assessed him. He was warm, breathing evenly, deeply asleep. No sign he had moved. Emily backed out of the room and pulled the door nearly shut. At the nurse's station, her co-worker, Sarah, looked up. "You okay?" Emily forced a laugh. "I thought I saw 406 sitting up." Sarah's face changed. "You saw him too?" Emily stared. "What do you mean?" Sarah lowered her voice. "2 nights ago, I walked by and saw him standing beside his bed." Emily felt cold. "Did you go in?" "Yes." Sarah swallowed hard. "He was asleep in bed." Neither spoke for several seconds. Finally, Sarah said, "I requested not to take him again." At 3:48 a.m., the call bell for room 406 rang. Emily stared at the blinking light. Sarah noticed. "I'll go." "No," Emily said. "He's my patient." She approached the room slowly. The call bell stopped before she reached the door. The room was dark. She stepped inside and switched on the bathroom light, casting a dim glow. Mr. Howard lay in bed, eyes open. Not smiling, just staring at the ceiling. "You rang?" His voice was barely above a whisper. "He comes around this time." Emily felt her stomach tighten. "Who?" Mr. Howard turned his head slowly to look at her. "The man in the hall." Emily tried to keep her voice steady. "There's no one in the hall." Mr. Howard blinked once. "Yes," he said, "there is." The cardiac monitor suddenly sped up. His eyes widened. "He likes nurses." Then he began to scream. Not words, just a raw, terrified shriek. Emily hit the staff assist button. Within seconds, Sarah and the charge nurse rushed in. But the moment they entered, Mr. Howard fell silent. His heart rate normalized. He closed his eyes and appeared to drift back to sleep. By 4:30 a.m., the floor had settled again. Emily sat at the nurse's station trying to chart, but she couldn't focus. The hallway felt different now. Heavy, oppressive. She kept glancing toward room 406. At 5:02 a.m., the monitor tech called. "Emily, is anyone in 406? She frowned. "Yes." "Why?" There was a pause. "Because his telemetry just showed ventricular fibrillation for 3 seconds. Emily stood. "Is he okay?" "Yes, normal rhythm now." Emily grabbed her stethoscope and headed to the room. The door was open wider than she remembered. The room was dark. The monitor cast its blue glow over the bed. Mr. Howard was sitting up again. This time there was no mistaking it. He sat rigidly upright, staring directly at the doorway, eyes bulging, the same impossibly wide grin. But he wasn't alone. Someone stood behind him, a tall figure in the corner, too dark to make out clearly. Its outline was long and thin, head nearly touching the ceiling. Emily's blood turned to ice. The figure leaned closer to Mr. Howard's ear. Mr. Howard's grin widened further, as if his skin might split. Emily stumbled backward. The overhead lights in the hallway flickered. When they stabilized, the room was empty except for Mr. Howard lying in bed. The monitor alarm erupted. A systole, flatline. Emily rushed in and called a code. Despite 30 minutes of resuscitation, Mr. Howard was pronounced dead at 5:41 a.m. The morning shift arrived as the night staff cleaned up. Emily tried to convince herself exhaustion had caused everything. Stress, sleep deprivation, her imagination. At 7:15 a.m., she returned to the room one last time to gather her pen, which she had left on the bedside table. The room was bright now. Sunlight streamed through the window. Everything looked normal. She retrieved her pen and turned to leave. Then she noticed something written in shaky handwriting on the whiteboard. No one had updated it since admission. Under the section labeled Primary Nurse, someone had erased the previous name and written a new one, Emily. Below it were 4 words, "I'll see you tonight."